question, ocean and marine pollution. I think this will be an important topic, okay, directly or indirectly. इसमें कुछ facts पता होना चाहिए, and you should know, okay, what all events to talk about. Ocean marine pollution में there are three things here. Number one, what are the reasons of pollution? What is the pattern of pollution? And what are the solutions or what are the interventions? ये तीन चीज हैं in your discussion. What are the reasons for pollution? What are the patterns for pollution? And what are the solutions or interventions? Okay. Or patterns, this is going to be again geography. Wherever possible, draw the world map, show the regions, कहाँ पर pollution है, कहाँ पर ज़्यादा है, कहाँ पर किस type का pollution है, patterns पे आपको ध्यान देना. Reasons, okay, I'll talk about right now. And solutions, you have to go into certain international treaties, talk about UNCLOS, because आपका okay, syllabus specifically mentions UNCLOS and marine pollution. UNCLOS important है. And you must talk about how much have they succeeded, not succeeded in dealing with the problems of pollution. Let's start off with ocean marine pollution. Now, ocean marine pollution ka reasons kya hai? What are the reasons for ocean marine pollution? Broadly, हम बताते हैं the reasons of pollution जो हैं, your UNCLOS talks about 6 sources of pollution. 6 sources में pollution from land, pollution because of activities and drilling on the continental shelf, pollution from the atmosphere, pollution because of deep sea mining, pollution because of dumping, and pollution because of vessels. The vessel source pollution. So there are 6 sources of pollution UNCLOS talks about. बहुत जगह में क्या करते हैं? Land and the shelf are taken to be one. Dumping and vessel source can be taken as one. But अगर 6 बोल रहा है, तो आप 6 लेके चलो. There are 6 sources of ocean pollution according to UNCLOS. Okay, land we're talking about. Okay, the pollution brought by the rivers, the pollution by sewage, pollution by industrial effluents, pollution brought by the rivers. Okay, some part is natural and lot of is also because of the discharge from human activities. Sewage आप समझ में आता है? Sewage pollution, household pollution, urban pollution, industrial effluents, EFFLUENTS. Effluents में okay, important are heavy metal pollution. इसमें mercury pollution important है. Okay, इसमें okay, copper pollution है. We have lead pollution. In fact, because of mercury pollution, there is a special problem, health problem called as Minamata disease. Minamata disease is a kind of poisoning because of mercury. It's one type of poisoning because of mercury. Minamata disease. Okay, copper pollution hai, lead pollution. Okay, industrial, and even you have problems related to cadmium and arsenic pollution. Okay, now इसके अलावा land से, ये तो आपका proper पता है. Land say we also have some amount of non-point pollution. The exact source of the pollution is not traceable. Non-point may the pollution from agriculture runoff. This is important. Agriculture runoff say fertilizer excess comes to the oceans. Runoff say we also have problems where pesticides can come into the oceans. So this is a major problem, the non-point pollution of the oceans. Now, from the land, एक important category you can add अलग से, ये बहुत news में है, the plastic pollution. and I'll say plastic pollution को आप अलग से एक छोटे से बॉक्स में डाल सकते हो. See, this is very important that when you develop your answer, ये जो content की बात कर रहे थे ना बेटा, this content in your answer, a very important aspect of your content is keep the content as contemporary as possible. Okay, current affairs related, try to bring in whatever content you can. There will be nice way to show your awareness of the issues that concern us. So content पे आप लोग को ध्यान देना पड़ेगा and bring in current affairs. So it is in that context I am saying that you could have a small write-up. साता नहीं देखो, your answers are about 2 to 3 pages. 2 से 3 पेज के अंदर में you cannot afford to write too much on any one point. जैसे कि आप अगर यही वाला आंसर देखेंगे, okay, you cannot write too much on sewage, you can't write too much on industrial effluents or rivers. इसको कुछ schematic बना के दिखा देना that okay, we know these points but we will not elaborate much on it. Elaboration 2-3 lines extra कर देंगे on marine pollution. So marine pollution, we say the oceans receive more than 8 million tons of plastics every year. Recent time में बहुत बड़ा concern है what we call as microplastics. Are you aware of microplastics? Microplastics and microbeads. Some of these microbeads are used in they're less than 5 mm. Lot of microplastics are used in our products like toothpaste, yes. And plus, okay, lot of microplastics also form because of disintegration of plastics in the oceans itself. And the unfortunate part is, ये जो plastics होते हैं, the plastics, just about 5% are in the superficial layers. More than 95%, it falls down to the ocean bottom. So in fact, lot of plastics, we don't even know that we are accumulating. Lot of plastics get trapped in the gyres. I'm sure you've heard about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So plastic pollution, because काफी news में है, okay, you can afford to write a few more lines on this. देखो, in answer writing, this is an important aspect. कि जब आप answer लिख रहे हो, you must know which points to elaborate and which points to mention and move on. So if I was writing the answer, I would not write too much on natural discharge. Okay, I would not write too much on sewage. Just mention sewage है, nitrates हैं, phosphates हैं. They end up eutrophication coast में और छोड़ दो. Industrial effluents में heavy metals, tanneries से आते हैं, industrial waste से आते हैं. Lot of mining, okay, activities on the land. Mining activities on the land also contribute. Okay, so mention them as a part of schematic and move on, because रखो कि there is lot other things to come up here. तो अगर आप सब पे ध्यान दोगे equally, you will not be able to manage the answer in the required space and place. जैसे the shelf में you don't have to add too much. Just mention there is drilling. Okay, so in your answer you could combine land and shelf together, and you are through with it. Atmospheric pollution में again not much to add. आपका main discussion होगा, maybe some bit of dumping पर discussion होगा, and the vessel source pollution पे होगा. Deep sea mining, this basically is one type of disruption. It leads to turbidity and discharge of dredging sediments. जो आप खोदते हो, you go and dig out the deep में, okay, that dredging, those sediments, they result in turbidity. It makes the waters muddy. It disrupts, so it creates what's called as sediment plumes. Just mention these words, but I said in the plastic pollution, definitely. Okay, the problems related to, okay, say marine life ingestion. You know, those whales, those fishes, they're known to eat the, okay, many marine life forms get entangled in the thrown debris. Some of this is also toxic. It impacts the physiological functioning of life forms. Okay, इसमें जो endocrine impact होता है, the hormones get impacted, the reproduction gets impacted. Okay, so a quick discussion on what are the consequences related to plastic. Whereas I said, ये जो बाकी वाले points हैं, you don't have to elaborate too much. You don't have to write too much on these aspects. Whereas vessel source pollution में a lot of pollution of oil है, okay, oil spills हैं. In fact, even without oil spill, almost 20 to 30% is part of what they call as a standard operational pollution. Like oil spills to काफी कम है. Less than 5% of pollution of oil is because of oil spills. But the bulk of the spill is because of the standard operation pollution. When they are transferring, when they're cleaning the ships, okay, something called as ballast water release. When they clean the ships, up to आपका rocket debris भी है. You can talk about Elon Musk and his experiments. Okay, fine. Okay, so do mention all of this as a part of your pollution. So oil spills is going to be more important than all the other type of deep sea mining and the rest. Or dumping में, dumping is a major concern. Dumping also includes industrial waste. एक time था, we also had dumping of nuclear wastes. We have dumping of urban wastes. ये deliberate होता है. Dumping is deliberate. Even though we have conventions and rules not to do this, okay, but this dumping continues to be a very, very popular option for countries to dispose of their waste. So dumping pe, okay, we do not have proper implementation. Okay, so more or less this. Okay, so now come towards the major एक plastic पे आप ध्यान देना और pollution में एक और चीज है. Talk about the problem related to invasive species. Okay, and lot of invasive species. Okay, I hope you know what invasive species are, right? So a lot of invasive species, they are transported as a part of the ballast water. The conventional type of pollutions, these are invasive species or life forms which are transported when the ships are pumping in and pumping out water as a part of their ballast, B-A-L-L-A-S-T. Ballast is one type of way to stabilize the ships. Invasive species ka sabse good example of this problem is what's called as zebra mussels. Okay, they have rapidly impacted fishing in Black Sea. वैसे ही the problem of sea urchins. Sea urchin again one type of life form impacted fishing along the US coast. Okay, they literally kill all the local indigenous species. Okay, so those are example. Okay, zebra, and these are the more talked about mussel impacted Kerala coast. There was something called as charu mussel. Okay, charu mussel of Kerala. Please do add. It's a current affairs. Very nice. Okay, talk about this. How it impacts the local biodiversity. So, आपके answer में ना ये दो important discussions हैं. Invasive species को रखो box में and plastic pollutions पे definitely add some more words than the others. Now, talking about regional patterns के लिए ये important है. A part of the answer should also have patterns. Patterns में, okay, so you say bulk of the pollution is along the coast within 50 to 500 kilometers from the coast. Lot of pollutant accumulates in the surface water above the pycnocline. There is a layer called as pycnocline. एक आपका surface water है, surface water. There is a transition water. The transition water 500 meters से approximately 1000 meters है. And then there is deep and there is bottom water. So this pycnocline is a layer that does not allow for vertical mixing of the water. It's a transition layer of salinity and temperature. Okay, it won't allow for vertical mixing. So lot of pollutants gets trapped here. Of course, the plastics, because they're heavy, the plastics comes and sinks. The plastics comes and sinks here. Otherwise, lot of pollutants does get trapped above the pycnocline. Okay, and this can impact the chemistry of the surface water. Impact chemistry of the surface water. Remember, I said no in your answer. It is very important that you bring some amount of geography concepts. ये pycnocline जो है, this is a geography concept. One of you asking me, sir, हम देख के कैसे पता चलता है कि सर ये geography student का answer है या फिर some GS का answer है? उसका पता ऐसे चलता है that a student should use terms which a GS student is not expected to know. A GS student will not know pycnocline. A GS student will not know UNCLOS in detail. A GS student will not know to mention the problems related to upwelling and downwelling. A GS student cannot write about the problem related to invasive species. So your content should have some terms, some diagrams that does not look like a GS student can do. Then we know, अच्छा, ये फिर geography student का answer है. Diagram बेटा ये surface water है. Then there is an intermediate layer, and below this intermediate layer you have your deep waters. I'm sure you have done this graph for temperature salinity. जो ऊपर का layer है, this is the surface water, okay, and the transition layer 500 मीटर से 1000 मीटर तक होता है, and then we have the deep and the bottom water. And this transition layer of water in the oceans, this is called as pycnocline if you're comparing density. It is called as thermocline if you're comparing temperature, or it's also called as the halocline if you are discussing salinity. So patterns में एक है pattern the coasts, एक है pattern in terms of vertical pattern, और एक pattern आ सकता है in terms of a regional pattern. Okay, you probably can draw, okay, the area, say India में, say in India, so we have some pollution here, we'll have pollution here, we have pollution here, Mumbai, Mangalore and Kochi pollution, Gulf of Kutch pollution, और ये सब cases में you can probably mention, okay, mention this is a refined, most of them will have refinery based pollution. यहाँ पर भी refinery pollution होगा and urban wastes होगा. यहाँ पर, okay, you will have refineries and also discharge of industrial and urban waste. So something of this kind, okay, tell us some figures about where the pollution is more. Okay, you can talk about the major oil spills. Can you give me examples of 2 or 3 oil spills? The infamous one, एक बड़ा infamous हुआ है Galapagos oil spill, yes, Chennai oil spill, Exxon oil spill, British Petroleum. Where did Exxon oil spill happen? Gulf of Mexico. You also have had oil spills along the coasts of Indonesia. So इसका आप एक map बना सकते हो. The recent Arctic वाला in the parts of Barents Sea. Okay. So आपको क्या करना होगा? The idea is through these answers you should be able to write down enough content कि अगर they surprise you with a question, you have some amount of content with you. Okay, तो exam conditions में यही तो कमाने वाला है आपका. Do you know where Galapagos offshore Ecuador on the Pacific side? Offshore Ecuador along the equator होगा. ठीक है? Look at Galapagos. So 2-3 examples में this is एक और regional pattern in terms of plastics. I was looking up some data. It says plastic pollution में, okay, we have got 5 countries: China, Philippines, Indonesia, Taiwan and Vietnam. more than 60% of pollution. Plastic pollution में China, Philippines, basically okay, a huge amount of pollution happening along the South China Sea. Russian Norilsk oil spill hai. So you have plastic pollution, you have pollution from the industries, from the land, you have pollution of vessel and oil spills. Okay, some mention of deep sea mining and pollution with facts and diagrams. ये सारा कुछ should come within 2 पेज. अगर 3 पेज का आंसर है, 2 पेज के अंदर में ये सारा आ जाना चाहिए. And keep the 3rd page to write about the solutions and what can interventions be. So now we'll move on towards what are the solutions. Okay, solutions में देखो, you should know about, just mention, because solutions don't go into too much of detail. You should mention what has been done. Okay, mention some of the initiatives taken. Okay, solutions में एक तो आपका 1972 एक लंदन कन्वेंशन है. This in many ways was the beginning. London Convention. 1978 का मार्पॉल, marine pollution, मार्पॉल treaty, and of course recent times में UNCLOS, and UNCLOS covers marine pollution under part 12, articles 192 to 237. Article 192, it holds the port state, the flag state, and the coastal state responsible for intervening. I hope you know what I mean by flag state and port state. Okay, flag state, this country का flag है, okay, on the vessel. Flag state, port state, the port to which a ship is going. Okay, and the coastal state is the waterways of the country the ship is passing through. And under navigation laws, innocent passage is not inclusive of pollution. So a ship can use territorial waters, but if a ship is polluting, it is responsible for enforcement. It is responsible for to make the laws. It is responsible to intercept and intervene. Laws banao, stop the pollution. Responsibility lies with the port state, the flag state, and the coastal state in enforcing the pollution codes. And I said navigation laws mein, innocent passage does not include pollution. Pollution is part of the marine crimes which has to be stopped. So UNCLOS says that, and under the clause of deep sea mining के provisions में UNCLOS includes dealing with pollution. SDG 14, it includes life below water. Okay, that is how you enrich your answer. Life below water. Okay, or interventions में IoT devices हैं for monitoring the water health. Okay, it has been used by NOAA. Okay, National Ocean and Atmosphere Administration. NOAA uses IoT like devices for underwater monitoring. Now, as a concluding remark, you can say we'll have more plastic than marine life forms. So conclusion is on this sad note, because implementation ठीक नहीं है, dumping continues, not proper monitoring done. So the intent is missing. Okay, हमने laws तो बना दिया है, but the intent to really intervene, that is missing. Okay, so if I'm looking at your answer now, answer ऐसे 3 पेज का आंसर होगा ये वाला. पहले 2 पेज में talk about the reasons, talk about the patterns. I want some maps here. I want some schematics here. Talk about plastic pollution. Talk about invasive species. Okay, और third page में please go towards solutions and conclusion. और मैंने कहा conclusion में you can show that not much has been done. The conclusion is about कि भाई implementation ठीक नहीं है, pollution बहुत बढ़ रहा है. Okay, the problem of regulation is inadequate, the implementation is inadequate, and the oceans will have more plastics than marine life. 192 is that article. Okay, to 237 ये articles हैं of the UNCLOS के articles. Okay, under part 12 these deal with the problems of marine pollution. ठीक है, तो आपको मैंने more or less दे दिया है. Okay, form up to you take up and see how you can write this.